taxable income computation, and in our class today we are going to look at how we compute the income of an employee in an organization. In this particular case, we are going to look at the basic salaries and other benefits which are enjoyed by the employees in an organization. And in this particular case, we have to follow the steps in computing in order to get the correct answer in the employment income at the end of our lesson. So, under normal circumstance, we start with the basic salary, which in our case will give it the value X. So always make sure that in almost of the equation, you will find that it is at the first line. It will be at the first line of the equation. And in my case, you find that it will be at this particular point. Then after that, after you get the basic salary, the next step, if the equation involves that the individual was provided with a motor vehicle. A motor vehicle is always different motor vehicles have different rating. So in that particular case, you will go back to the first page of the question paper provided in order to get the value of the rating of that particular vehicle. You will find that the rating will always be at this particular point. We have up to 120 cc, which will be given at a month and annually. Then we have 1,201 to 1,500 cc, which will also be given the value in terms of the monthly and the annual. Then in that particular case, in my rating, I have the cc. Then that particular question will be given the cost of that particular car. So, in the term of the cost, you'll get the 24% of the cost of that particular car, and our answer will be Y. So, the CC is the X, while the cost, which is computed 24%, is my Y. So, in this particular case, you will pick the one with the highest value, and you bring it at this particular side. Then after that, we assume that that particular employee is provided with a house. That particular house, for example, has a continuous supply of water. So we have to compute the value for the water. So in that particular case, we have the quantified amount, which is our X. Then we have the actual amount. In the case of quantified amount, we don't have the reason to worry. It will be provided at the question paper at the bottom. In my case, it is at the bottom of the page. We can see that we have water, we have the monthly rates, which is 200, and we have the annual rates, which is 2,400. So in the case of the water, the one at the beginning of the page, you will include it at this particular point as our X. Then after that, you will be given the value of the amount of water which was used in that particular month, which is in my case is my Y. So in those particular two answers, we have the quantified and we have the actual amount. You will pick the one with the highest value to be at this particular point. Note, you pick the highest between the quantified and the actual amount. Then after that, we also assume that that particular house is also supplied with a continuous supply of electricity. So the same case, you'll go back to the question paper, it will be given at the beginning of the page. It will be given at the beginning of the page, at the bottom of the part. As you can see, we have water, then we have the electricity. Then we have the quantified amount, monthly, which is 900, and we have annual rates, which is 10,800, which will be given at the beginning of the question paper. So we have the quantified amount, which will be extracted from the question paper. Then we have the actual amount. The actual amount will be extracted from the question itself. So we will also be given also the value of the actual amount which was used on that particular case. So in between the quantified and the actual amount, you will pick the one with the highest value as I showed on this particular page. So we have X and X, which is my highest value between the quantified and the actual amount. So in my case, I have the basic salary, I have the motor vehicle, the one with the highest value, I have the water, the side with the highest value, then we have the electricity, the one with the highest value. So in this particular case, I have this one, and this other one, and this other one, and my total is XY, which is the total of this one, and this other one. Then the next point is the housing benefits. This one is quite computed different as compared to the electricity and the water. So in this particular case, in the housing computation, the first step is to get the 15% of the total. This one, the 15% of the total to be at that particular point. So they assume that the 15% of the XY, for example, is A. Then in that particular question, it will have the value of the rental market value, which, for example, I assume the value is B. So in between the 15% of the XY and the rental market value, I will pick the highest, and in my case, the highest I name it as Z. Then, still on the same question, you will also be given also the nominal rent, of that particular house. So I will subtract the Z, which is the highest value between the X, between the 15% of XY and the rental market value. I less the nominal rent, which I've named as the X. So the difference between the two, I've called them the XZ. So after that, you will add the total, which was XY plus the XZ, to give us the XYZ, which will be my employment income. So thank you for watching this particular video, and subscribe for more videos.